Embrace failure as a learning tool. Many people avoid discomfort because they fear failure, but failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the journey. Every failure teaches you something valuable. Instead of fearing failure, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this experience to become better? Sit with uncomfortable emotions instead of numbing them when we feel discomfort. Whether it's rejection, disappointment, or uncertainty, our instinct is to escape it. We distract ourselves with social media, overwork ourselves, or engage in habits that numb the pain. But avoiding discomfort only prolongs it. Instead, allow yourself to sit with it, process it, and understand what it is teaching you. Say yes to opportunities that challenge you. Growth opportunities often come disguised as discomfort. The chance to lead a project at work, speak in public, move to a new city, or end a toxic relationship, all of these things may feel terrifying, but if something both excites and scares you, that's usually a sign that it's the right path for your growth. The power of choosing discomfort. Discomfort is not the enemy, it is the gateway to transformation. The people who achieve their dreams, build strong relationships, and create meaningful lives are not the ones who avoid discomfort. They are the ones who embrace it, knowing that every moment of unease is shaping them into the person they are meant to become. So the next time you feel fear, doubt, or discomfort creeping in, don't run from it. Instead, ask yourself, what if this is the exact challenge I need to grow? Because the truth is, you will never grow by staying comfortable. The life you want is on the other side of discomfort, if you're willing to step into it. From an early age, many of us are taught the importance of being liked. We are praised for being polite, agreeable, and easy to get along with. We learn that fitting in brings rewards, acceptance, validation, and a sense of belonging. So we start shaping ourselves to meet expectations. We shrink parts of our personality, suppress our true opinions, and wear different masks in different situations, all in the name of being likable. But here's the truth. Chasing likability comes at the cost of authenticity. The more we mold ourselves to fit in, the further we drift from who we really are. The constant need for approval keeps us in a cycle of seeking validation from others, making decisions based on external expectations rather than our inner truth. But what if we shifted our focus? What if instead of prioritizing likability, we made a commitment to authenticity? The price of prioritizing likability, when we prioritize being liked over being real, we lose something invaluable. Ourselves. We become people pleasers trying to be likable, often leads to people pleasing. We say yes when we mean no, agree with things we don't believe in, and avoid difficult conversations to keep the peace. Over time, this erodes our sense of self. We no longer know what we truly want because we are too busy catering to what others expect from us. We suppress our true thoughts and feelings in an effort to be accepted. We hold back our opinions, passions, and emotions. We tell ourselves that it's not a big deal when someone disrespects our boundaries. We avoid expressing our true feelings for fear of being judged. But every time we silence ourselves, we disconnect from our own voice. We attract superficial relationships when we prioritize being likable. We attract people who like the version of us that we are pretending to be. This leads to shallow connections that lack depth and authenticity. True relationships, whether friendships, romantic partnerships, or professional connections, can only thrive when we show up as our genuine selves. We live in fear of rejection. The need for approval makes us terrified of being disliked. We start walking on eggshells, constantly worrying about what others think. This fear keeps us from taking risks, setting boundaries, and fully embracing our potential. We feel unfulfilled. No matter how much approval we receive, it will never be enough if we are not being true to ourselves. We might have a lot of people who like us, but deep down we feel disconnected from who we really are. The power of authenticity. Authenticity means showing up as your true self without filtering, pretending, or performing. It means being honest about your thoughts, feelings, and values, even when it's uncomfortable. It means embracing your imperfections, standing firm in your beliefs, and allowing yourself to be fully seen without worrying about whether or not everyone approves. Here's what happens when you choose authenticity over likability. You build self-trust. The more you honor your truth, the more you trust yourself. Instead of seeking external validation, you start validating yourself. You make decisions based on what aligns with your values, not what pleases others. You attract the right people when you are authentic. You attract people who truly resonate with you, the ones who appreciate you for who you are, not just for what you can do for them. These are the relationships that are built on genuine connection, not on a false image. You feel free living authentically is liberating. You no longer waste energy trying to be someone you're not. You don't have to constantly monitor yourself to ensure you are saying the right thing or acting in the right way. You can simply be. You set healthy boundaries. When you stop prioritizing likability, you stop tolerating disrespect, manipulation, and toxic behavior. You set boundaries that honor your well-being, and you don't feel guilty for doing so. You gain true confidence. Confidence doesn't come from being liked by everyone. It comes from knowing who you are and standing in that truth, regardless of whether people approve. The most powerful people in the world are not the most agreeable. They're the ones who stand firmly in their authenticity, even when it's unpopular. How to choose authenticity over likability. Get clear on your values. Instead of asking, what do people expect from me? Ask, what do I believe in? What matters to me? The more you align your life with your values, the less you will feel the need to seek external approval. Stop apologizing for who you are. You don't need to explain or justify your personality, interests, or opinions. The right people will accept you exactly as you are. Let go of the fear of disapproval. Not everyone will like you, and that's okay. Trying to make everyone happy will only leave you exhausted and disconnected from yourself. Practice speaking your truth. Start small. Express your opinions honestly, even if they are different from the majority. Speak up when something bothers you. The more you practice authenticity, the more natural it will become. Surround yourself with authentic people. The more you are around people who value authenticity, the easier it becomes to embrace your own. Seek out relationships that allow you to be real, vulnerable, and unapologetically yourself. The ultimate truth, at the end of the day, being liked is temporary, but being true to yourself lasts a lifetime. The world doesn't need more people who conform just to fit in. It needs more people who are bold enough to be themselves, unapologetically, imperfectly, and authentically. So stop living for approval. Stop shaping yourself to meet the expectations of others. Stop sacrificing your authenticity for the illusion of likability, because the people who truly matter will love you for who you are, not for who you pretend to be. For too long, we have been taught to prioritize being nice, agreeable, and likable over being true to ourselves. We have been conditioned to avoid discomfort, seek approval, and mold ourselves to fit the expectations of others. But the cost of this is far too great. We lose our voices, our power, and ultimately our sense of self. But here's the truth. You are not here to live a life that pleases everyone else. You are here to be bold, to take up space, to embrace your authenticity without apology. You are here to set boundaries, to choose growth over comfort, to stop betraying yourself for approval, and to recognize your worth without validation from anyone else. Yes, the journey to self-liberation is uncomfortable. Yes, it requires stepping into vulnerability, facing rejection, and risking the disapproval of others. But on the other side of that discomfort is freedom, the freedom to be fully and unapologetically yourself. So stop shrinking. Stop silencing yourself. Stop seeking permission to exist on your own terms. You are enough as you are. You are worthy without approval. You are powerful beyond measure. The moment you decide to stop being the nice girl and start being the real you is the moment you take back control of your life. The world doesn't need more people who fit in. It needs more people who dare to stand out. There's a fine line between being kind and being overly accommodating, and for many people, especially women, that line is often blurred. Society teaches us from a young age that being polite, agreeable, and nurturing is expected, especially in our interactions with men. While kindness is an incredible trait that fosters strong relationships, over-accommodation can slowly erode your confidence, self-worth, and even your personal identity. Being friendly and open is a beautiful way to connect with others, but when friendliness turns into a compulsive need to please, it becomes a problem. Over-accommodation happens when you constantly put others' needs, desires, and emotions above your own, even at the expense of your own comfort and well-being. This might look like laughing at jokes that make you uncomfortable just to avoid making things awkward, saying yes to favors even when you're exhausted or unwilling, letting conversations continue even when they cross a boundary because you don't want to seem rude, agreeing with opinions you don't believe in just to avoid conflict, over-explaining yourself when declining something as if you need permission to say no. At first, over-accommodation seems harmless, maybe even like a way to keep the peace or be seen as likable. But over time, it teaches others that your needs don't matter as much as theirs. It creates a dynamic where you are the one always adjusting, bending, and compromising while others take without giving in return. The truth is, genuine kindness doesn't require self-sacrifice. You can be kind without overextending yourself. You can be warm and friendly without making yourself smaller. In fact, real kindness includes setting clear boundaries and standing firm in them. When you stop over-accommodating, you don't become rude, you become self-respecting. The people who truly value you will respect your ability to say no. Those who push against your boundaries were never there for your well-being in the first place. By distinguishing between kindness and over-accommodation, you take back control of your interactions, ensuring that your friendliness is a gift, not an expectation or a weakness to be exploited. Being authentic means showing up as your true self, unfiltered, unapologetic, and grounded in your values. It means expressing your thoughts, emotions, and needs without feeling pressured to shrink yourself for the comfort of others. However, authenticity doesn't come without boundaries. In fact, the ability to be your most genuine self is directly linked to how well you set and enforce the limits that protect your energy, emotions, and well-being. Many people struggle with authenticity because they fear rejection or judgment. They believe that in order to be liked, they must constantly adapt to what others want from them. This can look like saying things you don't really believe to fit in, pretending to be okay when you're not, just to avoid making others uncomfortable, tolerating disrespect or inconsiderate behavior to keep the peace, engaging in conversations or activities that go against your values because you don't want to be seen as difficult. When you lack boundaries, you end up sacrificing your authenticity in exchange for approval. You become a version of yourself that is shaped by the expectations of others rather than by your own values and beliefs. Over time, this leads to frustration, resentment, and even a loss of self-identity. Boundaries are what allow you to be authentic while still maintaining healthy relationships. They help you communicate what you will and will not tolerate, They ensure that your interactions are built on mutual respect rather than on the need to be liked. When you set boundaries, you send a message that your emotions, time, and space are valuable and that you expect others to honor them. Being authentic with strong boundaries doesn't mean you are unkind or cold. It means you have the confidence to express your truth without fear of how others will react. It means you don't mold yourself into a version that pleases everyone else at the cost of your own happiness. Not everyone will appreciate your authenticity, and that's okay. The people who truly respect and value you will embrace the real you, not just the version that's easy for them to handle. The more you practice setting boundaries, the more natural it becomes to show up as your genuine self, without guilt, without hesitation, and without apology. True confidence isn't about feeling comfortable all the time. It's about being willing to step into discomfort and stand your ground, even when it feels uneasy. Many people associate confidence with ease, picturing someone who is always sure of themselves, never second-guessing their actions or words. But in reality, confidence is built in the moments when you choose to honor yourself despite feeling uncomfortable. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with setting boundaries, especially with men, is the fear of making things awkward. You might worry about seeming rude, hurting someone's feelings, or being seen as difficult. This fear leads to avoiding necessary conversations, tolerating behavior that makes you uneasy, or agreeing to things you don't want to do. However, true confidence grows when you learn to sit with that discomfort rather than running from it. Discomfort shows up in many forms: saying no when someone pressures you and resisting the urge to over-explain yourself. Walking away from situations where you feel disrespected, even if it means disappointing someone. Speaking up when something bothers you, even if your voice shakes. Holding firm to your standards, even when someone tries to make you feel guilty for it. Allowing awkward silence instead of filling it with nervous laughter or unnecessary apologies. The key to developing confidence is understanding that discomfort isn't a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's a sign that you're growing. Every time you choose to sit with that uncomfortable feeling instead of avoiding it, you reinforce to yourself that your needs and boundaries are worth protecting. Over time, what once felt difficult becomes second nature. Many people think confidence comes first and then they'll be able to set boundaries, but it's the other way around. You build confidence by enforcing your boundaries, even when it feels awkward or scary. The first few times might feel unbearable, but each time you do it, you prove to yourself that you can handle the momentary discomfort. And with each boundary you set, you send a clear message to yourself and others: I am worth respecting. Confidence isn't about being fearless. It's about feeling the fear and standing firm anyway. It's about choosing self-respect over temporary ease. It's about learning that the people who truly value you will respect your boundaries, and those who don't were never meant to have access to you in the first place. Confidence isn't about always feeling certain, fearless, or completely in control. It's about your ability to stand firm in who you are, even when discomfort tries to push you back into old patterns of people-pleasing, avoidance, or self-doubt. The truth is, confidence is not a natural trait that some people are simply born with. It is something that is built, tested, and strengthened through discomfort. One of the most challenging aspects of building confidence is learning to sit with the uneasy feeling that comes when you start enforcing boundaries, saying no, or refusing to accommodate others at the expense of yourself. That discomfort might feel overwhelming at first. It might make you question yourself. Did I come off as rude? Did I just make things awkward? What if they think I'm mean or selfish? These thoughts can be powerful, but they are simply the result of stepping into unfamiliar territory. If you have spent most of your life prioritizing the needs of others, especially men, above your own, then asserting yourself may feel unnatural at first. But the key to true confidence is learning that discomfort does not mean you're doing something wrong. In fact, it often means you're doing something right. Discomfort is a sign of growth. Think about any skill you've ever learned, whether it was riding a bike, speaking in public, or mastering a new job. In the beginning, it probably felt awkward, nerve-wracking, and even embarrassing. But the more you did it, the easier it became. The same is true for setting boundaries and standing firm in your worth. When you start practicing confidence in uncomfortable moments, you might experience awkward silences after asserting a boundary, people reacting negatively because they are used to you being overly accommodating, guilt for prioritizing yourself when you've been conditioned to always put others first, anxiety over how someone will perceive you when you say no or disagree. But here's the truth. Confidence isn't about avoiding these moments. It's about getting through them. It's about allowing the awkwardness to exist without rushing to fix it. It's about standing firm in your decision even when someone tries to guilt trip or manipulate you. It's about realizing that discomfort is a temporary feeling, but self-respect is permanent. How to embrace discomfort with confidence, recognize the pattern. If you feel uneasy after enforcing a boundary, remind yourself that this is just a new experience for you. Your body and mind are adjusting to a new standard of self-respect. Resist the urge to over-explain. When you say no to something, you don't owe anyone an essay explaining why. A simple, "I'm not comfortable with that," or "that doesn't work for me," is enough. Let the silence happen. If someone responds with a long, awkward pause, let it sit. Don't rush to fill it with nervous laughter, apologies, or backtracking. Remind yourself of your worth. Confidence grows when you consistently remind yourself that your feelings, time, and energy are just as important as anyone else's. Observe who respects your boundaries. The people who truly value and respect you will accept your limits. The ones who don't, they were only there because you made things easy for them. The payoff of facing discomfort is you continue to lean into discomfort instead of running from it. Something incredible happens. The moments that once felt terrifying become normal. The guilt fades, the awkwardness becomes manageable. The fear of disappointing others is replaced by the deep satisfaction of honoring yourself. You begin to realize that confidence is not about never feeling discomfort. It's about proving to yourself over and over again that you can handle it. And once you learn that, you become unstoppable. Many of us are raised to believe that respect is something we owe to others simply because they exist, especially men. We are taught to be polite, agreeable, and accommodating, to always be nice and give people the benefit of the doubt. But here's the truth. Respect should never be given blindly. It should be earned through consistent actions, not assumed just because someone demands it. This doesn't mean you should be rude or dismissive to people you don't know. Basic human decency is a given, and treating others with kindness is a reflection of your character. However, there is a big difference between being polite and allowing someone access to your time, energy, and emotions without proving that they deserve it. The dangers of assuming respect. When you assume that everyone deserves your respect without question, you set yourself up for disappointment, mistreatment, and even manipulation. Consider these situations. You assume a man has good intentions just because he's nice to you, only to realize later that his kindness had strings attached. You overlook red flags in someone's behavior because you don't want to be judgmental. You continue engaging with people who disrespect your boundaries because you don't want to seem mean. You give too much of yourself, your time, energy, or emotional labor to someone who hasn't proven they value you. Many people mistake politeness for respect and believe they must be endlessly accommodating to be seen as a good person. But true respect is a two-way street. You can be kind without being naive. You can be warm without being overly trusting. You can be friendly while still expecting people to show you they deserve your time. How respect is earned, respect isn't about words. It's about actions. Anyone can say they respect you, but their behavior will tell the truth. Someone earns your respect when they honor your boundaries. They don't push or guilt trip you when you say no. Show consistency, their actions match their words, and they don't switch up when it's inconvenient. Treat you with consideration. They listen, acknowledge your feelings, and make an effort to understand your perspective. Demonstrate integrity. They do what is right even when no one is watching. Respect your time and energy. They don't take advantage of your kindness or expect you to overextend yourself for them, setting the standard for respect. If you want others to respect you, the first step is respecting yourself. That means stop over-explaining yourself. You don't need to justify your decisions to people who haven't earned that level of access to you. A simple no or I'm not comfortable with that is enough. Hold people accountable. If someone repeatedly disrespects you, don't excuse their behavior. Address it directly or distance yourself from them. Don't be afraid to walk away. If someone consistently fails to show you respect, they don't deserve a place in your life. Avoid the trap of proving yourself. You don't have to overextend yourself or go out of your way to be likable, and the right people will respect you simply for being you. Pay attention to who gets defensive. The people who push back against your boundaries or take offense when you assert yourself are often the ones who never respected you in the first place. Not everyone deserves your respect. It might feel uncomfortable at first to shift your mindset from I owe people respect to respect must be earned. But remember, respect is about reciprocity. You deserve to be treated well, and you have every right to demand that from the people in your life. Not everyone who enters your world deserves access to your kindness, trust, or emotional investment. Let actions, not just words, determine who is worthy of your time and energy. Those who truly value and respect you will never expect it to be given freely. They will prove it through the way they treat you. One of the most powerful truths in life is this: you set the standard for how others treat you. The way you respond to disrespect, the boundaries you enforce, and the behavior you tolerate all send a message to the people around you about what they can get away with. If you constantly excuse mistreatment, overextend yourself to please others, or avoid confrontation when someone crosses a line, you are silently teaching them that their behavior is acceptable. Many people struggle with this concept because they believe that others should automatically treat them with kindness and respect. While that would be ideal, the reality is that people will often treat you based on what they can get away with. If you don't establish firm boundaries and communicate your expectations, you leave room for others to take advantage of your kindness. Why people treat you the way they do, people's behavior toward you is not always a reflection of their character alone. It's also a reflection of what you allow. If you consistently accept being spoken to in a condescending tone, that behavior will continue. If you let someone cancel plans on you repeatedly without addressing it, they will keep doing it. On the other hand, if you make it clear that you won't tolerate being disrespected, the people around you will either adjust their behavior or remove themselves from your life. Consider these examples. If you always say yes to favors even when you're exhausted, people will keep asking. If you let people interrupt you without speaking up, they will assume it's okay to disregard your voice. If you let someone get away with making passive-aggressive or hurtful comments, they will assume you're fine with it. If you never enforce consequences when someone disrespects you, they will assume there are none. It's not about blaming yourself for how others behave. It's about recognizing your power. You can't control people, but you can control what you allow. How to teach people to treat you with respect. Set boundaries early and clearly. From the beginning of any relationship, whether it's romantic, professional, or platonic, it's important to establish what you will and won't accept. Don't wait until someone disrespects you multiple times before speaking up. Be clear from the start about your expectations. Enforce consequences. A boundary without consequences is just a suggestion. If someone repeatedly crosses your boundaries and faces no repercussions, they have no reason to change. Enforcing consequences might mean distancing yourself, ending the relationship, or firmly reminding them that their behavior is not acceptable. Stop over-explaining yourself. When you set a boundary, you don't need to justify it endlessly. Over-explaining makes it seem like you're seeking permission rather than stating a fact. A simple, "I'm not comfortable with that," or "that doesn't work for me," is enough. Match actions to words. People learn how to treat you, not just by what you say, but by what you do. If you say you won't tolerate lateness, but consistently wait for someone who is always late, your actions tell them that their behavior is fine. Follow through on your words. Be okay with losing people when you start demanding respect. Some people will push back. They may try to guilt trip you, call you difficult, or act offended. Let them. The people who truly belong in your life will respect you for standing up for yourself, while those who benefited from your lack of boundaries will likely fade away. Pay attention to patterns, not apologies. Words are easy, but actions reveal the truth. If someone constantly apologizes for treating you poorly, but their behavior never changes, believe their actions over their words. A genuine apology comes with changed behavior. Walk away when necessary sometimes. The best way to teach someone how to treat you is to remove yourself from the equation. If someone refuses to respect your boundaries despite multiple chances, they don't deserve a place in your life.